One of my favorite, and I watch from time to time, I'll go YouTube and watch commencement speeches. And you watch, Oprah here and famous actors and CEOs, legends, whatever. One of my favorite lines, and I'm not sure it was his, maybe he borrowed it, but I've used this over and over in my life. John Bon Jovi, gave a commencement speech. Great advice. Outline your life in pencil, not pen. Always be willing to erase. You don't know what you're going to be optioned. John Bon Jovi, outline your life in pencil, not pen. Told my kids this regularly. Russell Wilson needs to heed this advice. According to reporters this morning, Chicago is making a big, big swing at Russell Wilson. We've told you that for a week. And Russell's very keenly interested in Chicago. He needs to grab his pencil and erase Chicago. And put Washington in there, and I'll explain. 6 good teams have their quarterback. New England's got Cam. Dallas has Dak. Indy's got Carson Wentz. The Saints have 2 guys, Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. Pittsburgh signed Big Ben. And the 49ers, say what you want, they've got Jimmy Garoppolo. Those are good teams. 2 other good teams do not. Playoff teams do not have a quarterback. Chicago and Washington. And Russell Wilson said, I like Chicago. Let's think about it. Washington has $38 million of cap space. Chicago's $19 million over the cap. But the brand, most of my childhood, Washington won a lot more football games than Chicago. Washington has a great defensive coach. A better defense than Chicago, look it up. Pro Football Focus said Washington had a 6th best offensive line, far superior to Chicago. Much easier division. Play the biggest brand in the world, the Dallas Cowboys, twice a year. With Russell, you'll win both. And a ton of cap space. It's much easier for Russell Wilson to beat big brand Dallas twice a year than it is to beat Aaron Rodgers and big brand Green Bay twice a year. Russell Wilson's career, he's 500 against the Packers in 6 games. You want to know what he is against Dallas, Philadelphia, and the New York Giants? If he went to Washington, 15-3. If you're beating Dallas twice a year, and Jerry twice a year, and Dak twice a year, and you're beating the blue blood New York Giants twice a year, that is a way bigger brand than losing to Green Bay. Outline your life in pencil, not pen. You want to know what Washington is? 1 year ago, they were Tampa before Brady took it. What was Tampa? They'd been 7-9, veteran head coach, super talented defense, promising O-line. Tampa was 7-9. Wait, Washington was 7-9. Veteran head coach. Great defensive talent. Promising O-line. The difference is Washington had more success winning recently than Tampa. They are Tampa. And Tom Brady looked around the league. He could go anywhere, right? Like anywhere. And Tom said, all right, I got the coach. I got the championship defense. I got some offensive pieces I like. And the offensive line needs a right tackle, but it's good. That is Washington. The difference is Washington just made the playoffs. It is time for Russell Wilson to pivot off Chicago and go to Washington. He would own the division. You're not going to own the division if Aaron Rodgers is in it. You're not going to own it. You can win it, but you're not going to own it. Philadelphia's got Jalen Hurts. Who knows? Giants have Daniel Jones. Who knows? Cowboys paying Dak $40 million. Who knows? I mean, they'll win, but who knows? Washington made the playoffs. Taylor Heineke was quarterbacking in the end. Pencil, not pen. Erase. Insert Washington over Chicago. So Drew Brees, and this is not exactly a revelation of like, Watergate status, but Drew Brees retired. It is interesting. Drew Brees is a great example that if you don't look like the prototype, and if your path is different than the prototype, Some people can just never get past that. Drew Brees, number one all-time in passing yards. Now think about that. History of professional football in America. He's number one in passing yards. He's number one in completions. He's the only player ever with multiple 5,000-yard seasons. For our television audience, I'm putting up his records. He basically owns all of them or finishes second. And if Drew Brees was 6'4.5", he'd be Peyton Manning with better stats. He has the most games ever of 3 touchdown passes. He has the most games ever of 4 touchdown passes. He has the most games ever of 5 touchdown passes. It's the Steph Curry syndrome. But he doesn't quite look like we think a star should look, and his path was different. Purdue, Steph Curry, Davidson. Wait a minute. The best player in the league can't be from Davidson. The best quarterback in the league can't be from Purdue, and then he gets hurt, and then he wants to go to Miami, and he ends up with the Saints. And this is a big deal for me. He ends up with the Saints. They were the worst franchise in the league. Just think of what he dealt with the Saints. They were called the Aints. Historically, one playoff win ever. People wore bags on their heads. He gets there. And they become, last 15 years, an elite top 3 to 4 franchise. That's worth something. If Drew Brees was 6'4.5", you turn on sports radio in America, and I listen to people for hours argue Drew Brees at a top 12. Take his stats, make him go to a football power like a Texas, Ohio State, or Michigan, make him number 1 or 2 in everything. Would we argue it? It wouldn't be worth a segment. And people, well, he's not this guy. He's not that guy. Folks, Joe Namath looked like a quarterback should look in the 70s. He was tall and handsome with a big arm. Joe Namath's the prototype. But Joe Namath has more losses than wins in his career and more interceptions than touchdowns. Joe Namath's number one trait, and I know Joe and like him, was being cool. Drew Brees' number one trait, I don't know, was being accurate. If your route's a little different, if you don't look like everybody thinks you're supposed to, 6 feet, out of Purdue, not a huge arm, people just can't wrap their brains around it. He is the most accurate thrower of the football I've ever seen. Period. In all the years I'm watching football, in his 10 to 12-year prime, he threw the ball more accurately than anybody has ever thrown the football. Wasn't as cool as Joe Namath, didn't have Favre's arm, didn't have the pedigree of Peyton Manning, but good luck to the New Orleans Saints finding his replacement. And 1 year from now, you want to know what the Saints are going to look like? Like New England looks this morning. Crossing your fingers and praying you can get a name quarterback past his prime. Be it Cam Newton, be it Taysom Hill, be it whoever it is. It's remarkable to me that you would waste a radio segment arguing Drew Brees is not a top 10 quarterback of all time. Look at his numbers. Look at the injury. Look what he inherited. Look what he turned around. He dealt with Katrina. He owns the record book, first or second in almost everything that matters. Drew Brees, way to go. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.